begin transmission. Hello, everybody. It is Chris, aka Starrapter, for Outer Rim Transmission number 72, joined by Milton and Ben, as always. This week, we're talking about the first Andor clip, some quotes from John Boyega relating his future in the Star Wars fandom and the Star Wars franchise, an update on some video games, and we're going to get into some good old Star Wars trivia. It's been over a month since we got into that, so we're going to take some time along with all the listeners and watchers to get into that. So starting off, things as we always do, our week in Star Wars. And I'll throw it over to Ben on this one. How's it going first off, man?
Good. It was a pretty good week overall. Just kind of the normal thing, playing some Xbox, working out, and lifting, of course, and spending time with family and friends. And, just been a pretty solid week watching some shows. Like we were talking before the broadcast started, we were watching House of the Dragon earlier in the week. That was a great way to start the week. And then, it was just it was a pretty good week overall in terms of that regard and like media consumption and stuff. So yeah, it was a good week.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be one hell of a month for any kind of fantasy lovers out there for the things on the screen that are getting adapted from books and whatnot. Because House of the Dragons is based off of Fire and Blood, and I read that. It's basically like a story told from the Meister's point of view of the lineage of the Targaryens, starting with Aegon the Conqueror back 300 years before Daenerys Targaryen and going all the way up to basically her reign. So this book takes, or this show, House of the Dragons, takes a portion of that called Dance of Dragons, which is the bloodiest era in Game of Thrones history and Westeros history, and gives us an entire deeply rich story upon that. And after watching the first episode, I really enjoyed it. I didn't really have anything on the channel about it. I'm still wondering if I'm going to cover it because not only is that coming out, but then we have Rings of Power, which will be out a week from now. So as I said, if you are a fantasy fan, there's no better time right now because I've been hearing really good things about what's going on with Rings of Power from some people that have seen it early, reactions, and everybody's loving House of the Dragon. So what a time, man. What a time. I've been saying this forever, or at least for the last year. This is the best year for television. It started off with Obi-Wan and Peacemaker, and we got all this other stuff in between. Halo, Andor's coming out, like Bad Batch, perhaps, maybe. There's just so much coming out, man. It's kind of overload, but it's great. It's an embarrassment of riches. It really is.
Oh yeah, you gotta love it. It's definitely one of the best things in terms of being like a fan of all of this media. Like, and that's a good thing too. Even if you're not a fan, it's a great time to get introduced to these type of properties. Whether it be Star Wars or Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings or the Marvel shows or any of this stuff, the DC stuff, even like, there's plenty of different things to get into if you're a fan or wanting to be a fan of entertainment.
Heck yeah! What's going on with you, Milton, these days? I know you've been busy.
Yeah, real life, dude. Real life kicks in, but no, I definitely try to keep up with what's going on. I mean, I know you guys talk about it a lot more than I do throughout the week. I mean, I know about the new not Lord of the Rings, geez, the new Game of Thrones show. I didn't even finish like Game of Thrones. I'll be honest with you. I kind of fell off of that show. But I'll probably check this out eventually. The new, I guess, the prequel. I'm interested to check out, obviously, that Lord of the Rings prequel. I think that's what it is. So I want to watch that. But no, like this week, it's been a normal week. It's been working, trying to keep up with the Star Wars lore and everything, or just with the news.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm excited to talk Star Wars like always.
Heck yeah. I will start off my week. I ended up going out and checking out the re-release of E.T. Extraterrestrial in IMAX, and I probably haven't seen that movie in about 20 years, literally. I think I have the VHS, and I probably ran that tape to the ground at this point. But it's been one of those things where I always watch it, and I'm like, well, when I was little, I would be terrified of like the jump scare of like the crops, the cornfield where E.T. pops out, and then when he looks like he's dressed like a woman. That always kind of freaked me out. So there's many little things in there, but why the reason why I bring it up, first off, I'm watching the amazing documentary, and I'm still living to my word with ILM Light and Magic. I've been watching one episode pretty religiously every Wednesday. I'm treating this as like the Star Wars Wednesday release. I'm getting ready for Andor, and I'm watching that every week. And they had a segment about E.T. Extraterrestrial with Steven Spielberg, obviously using the help of Dennis Murin and everybody that's involved with the visual effects. And they had a good 10-15 minute segment about that, where they're like, sometimes no matter how much money you throw at something at a studio, you just got to revert to some old school ways of thinking outside the box. And they were talking specifically about the moment when they're dealing with the bicycles flying through the air, and somebody was just like, you know what? We don't have money for all this. Let's just tie a rope to the bike and we'll just pull it and edit it out. And that's like, and Kathleen Kennedy at that point was like, are we really doing this? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And it turned out perfect with such a rudimentary kind of solution to a problem. But not only that, Dennis Murin was really talking a lot about how he wanted to shoot the different scenes and just the vistas, and how he had the lights. The lights were a certain way that I actually appreciated him watching that, and then watching this recently, seeing how the cinematography really plays with like the bright lights of the sun, the sunset, the fog. I love the beginning of the movie. There's just the whole creepy vibe from the music is just very foreboding. And then it just gets into, it shows like his hand or his foot or silhouette of ET. It's like very much like Jaws, where they don't show the creature until the very end and all its glory and sort of thing. So I was really appreciating that. But not only that, is holy crap, there are a lot of Star Wars Easter eggs in ET. Obviously, one of the most prevalent ones is, you see the kid walking on Halloween with a Yoda's mask on. But it's really cool because if you have a keen ear, you can actually hear the John Williams theme of Yoda playing through, because as we all know, John Williams did the score for E.T. in several moments throughout this movie. I literally said out loud, there was only like 5 people in the theater, so I really didn't care. I was like, oh my gosh, this music is amazing, because it really like tugs at the heartstrings. It's so powerful. Another moment is when he's just showing E.T. like all the Star Wars action figures, like, oh, here's Boba Fett, here's the Walrus Man, here's Hammerhead, and just like them fighting. And then at one point, I think it was either Elliot, the little kid, or his brother, I think it was Mike, starts talking in like a Yoda voice or something like that. But there are so many callbacks to E.T. I had to point it out as my week in Star Wars, because I mean, man, I'm gonna have to own that movie on Blu-ray, because it's a treasure. I love that movie, and it was cool watching it on the big screen for the first time in my life, because that movie came out way before I was even born. So
I haven't seen that movie in how long? I couldn't even tell you like how it plays out. But I mean, obviously I know it's a classic, and like I've seen the documentary, like I watched it all the way through.
yeah,
And yeah, that particular segment, they do talk about how they had to, just go old school. And Dennis Murin has been such an influence on that company. It was just to see how creative these guys can be when they don't have all the resources that they think they should have.
yep. Heck yeah.
Oh
What
yeah.
about you, Ben? Have you seen E.T. recently? Do you remember those Easter eggs that I mentioned?
Oh yeah. I actually watched it about probably it's probably before we started the podcast, probably a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago. I just watched it actually because there was like a 2-hour Steven Spielberg documentary that came out a couple of years ago.
Oh,
And I think it was like 2018. Actually, so it might have been 4 years ago. Well, anyways, whatever, close enough. But anyway, so I just went through and started watching pretty much all of the whole Spielberg like discography back then. And like I literally watched like pretty much all of his movies, like all his main movies for the most part. When that came on, because I was like, oh man, let me just like check out everything, like like refreshers on his old stuff I've seen, watch some of the stuff I haven't seen, that sort of stuff. Yeah, I watched E.T. It was probably 3-4 years ago, but yeah, that movie's a classic. It's great, and even in that documentary, they had like behind the scenes stuff, of course, like talking about an interesting fact about that movie. Some people may not know. So with the child actors, like Spielberg explained, this shows like his, back then even like, thinking ahead in filmmaking. So with child actors, the way he shot the movie, the way you watch the movie is how it was shot, because he believed, teaching kids lines and stuff, being as young as they were, he actually, he didn't want the kids to be thinking, okay, wait, I'm saying this, but it's supposed to be happening at the end of the movie when I'm saying this. In their mind, they're thinking the starting of shooting is scene 1 of the movie when it could be scene 500. So Spielberg shot the movie, when shooting was done, that was the final shot of the movie, actually. So it's just cool, like seeing that sort of stuff about that movie, how it was shot in that way, scene by scene, day by day, and whatnot. But yeah, that's classic. Like you said, there's so many Star Wars callbacks in that movie. It's great. And you gotta love seeing it. Because you get those callbacks in those different directors' movies, whether it be Spielberg or Scorsese, people like that. That were friends with Lucas back then. They all kind of put their own little, their little Easter eggs in their own movies back from that time period.
Oh heck yeah! So fond memories in that theater for sure.
Oh yeah.
All right. Unless we have any other Star Wars things off the top to talk about, I'm going to just segue into our next section here. But before we get started, just a little bit of housekeeping for everybody. We go live on YouTube every Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern PM. We also have this available if you're watching later to download. You can listen to all our episodes on the go. Just search Outer Rim Transmission on any of your podcast download apps of choice. That done and out of the way, off the top, we're going to be talking about the fact that Rogue One is apparently in theaters. You can watch it right now. There was a little bit of confusion for me because I thought it was only out for like a single day, which it's not out of the realm of possibilities. That's happened with many other feature films and stuff before. But I was looking on AMC and I was like, holy crap, this thing's playing until like September at some point. So I'm going to go check it out. If it's not this weekend, probably next weekend, I'll be able to maybe catch it at like a Saturday or something. But I'm very curious because apparently there's a 9-minute Andor behind the scenes preview. I don't even know what it is exactly. Maybe it's an entire scene. I don't know. I'd rather not know, especially if I plan on seeing it. I kind of want to be surprised if it is a whole sequence or whatever. But what about you guys? Would you go out and see this and support this movie once again? Because for me, it's so good on the big screen, especially with that third act, everything going on, the mayhem, Scarif, really cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's one of my favorite Star Wars like films for sure. As for Disney Star Wars, is probably my favorite Star Wars thus far.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that film did a really good job at telling that story that I think was needed to be told. I think some people would argue that it didn't need to be told, but I think Rogue One was a perfect segue into A New Hope. And honestly, I think I would start a lot of friends out with that movie besides just A New Hope when it comes to introducing them into Star Wars. If I said, hey, if you really want to see how this all plays out and how it leads into it, let's start with Rogue One. But as for seeing it, I know this morning you messaged me about seeing it at a theater. The one theater you mentioned is like 3.5 hours away from me. So that's not gonna happen. But we do have IMAX theaters near me because I live like 45 minutes from the state capitol. So I know there's a couple IMAX theaters located there if they're playing it. Yeah, because I love seeing that movie in theaters. The sound quality of that film is amazing, especially that third act. You're right, when they're on Scarif, when they're at the Shield Gate. Again, Admiral Raddus is that guy. So again, if that opportunity's there, if I have like a free weekend where I can go see that film, yeah, I take advantage if I could for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like if I get a chance, it would be nice. I think the closest one for me is like an hour and a half away.
Ooh.
But yeah, so I'm not sure about that. But even at that, like it's cool that it's getting it's getting re-released for people wanting to watch it. Of course, it's drawing more hype for Andor. I mean, obviously, and then as you said, Milton, like it's to me it's the best Disney Star Wars movie in my opinion. I think it's the closest thing to Star Wars to feel like the original Star Wars trilogy as we got out of all of the new movies released. So yeah, I think it's the best quality one. And then I really enjoyed that movie. Like you both said, like the build up, the ending. I'm not a fan of Saul Guerrero in that movie, but that's fine. Every movie has flaws. But yeah, I think it's great that it's getting re-released. Like it's nice that they're doing re-releases like this for movies leading up to things. We have this movie, and then we have on either September maybe 2nd or 21st or something, or 12th. I think it's one of the ones with the twos. Anyways, but Avatar is getting re-released as well.
Oh, that's soon, huh?
Yeah, it's here in September, so I can't wait to see that in theaters, because that is going to be really cool. I think.
I've never seen that in a theater, but I will travel a good 2 hours if I needed to see that in the theater. Because I got to see an IMAX, and I got to see with the 3D glasses, because that's what everybody was always hooting and hollering about, is seeing that movie in 3D.
Yeah, it's supposed to be getting released here in September sometime. It's like the 2nd, 12th, or 21st. It's something like that. But anyways, that's coming out. So like, it's cool that Disney's doing these kind of re-releases for the properties to, like, drum up more excitement. Of course, it's making them a little bit more money, but still, it's cool that they're doing that for fans who may have not seen it, and may have, for potential fans who may have been younger when these movies came out, like, because like say when Avatar came out, that was like what, 2009, 10, 11, somewhere in there. So like you have, so you could have fans that were like 10 years old back then, potentially.
Yeah,
So
I wonder if we were in an alternate dimension here, if Andor came out like a week from now or whenever it was supposed to. Actually, it would have been out next week. I wonder if they would have done Rogue One. I don't know if this is like a consolation thing for the people that are a little mad and they're like, oh, we'll just put it in theaters and ease people's minds a little bit since we have to delay it a couple weeks. Or I mean, they could have still put it out concurrently with the series going on. It doesn't matter, but yeah, I mean, is that a benefit since it was delayed? Like, oh, they have more time to promote things. Let's just throw it in a theater too while we're at it. I don't know.
I mean, I really don't know. I mean, I think they're just trying to I guess, try to get some extra, maybe promotion. Just trying to push this overall like Andor universe, because it's kind of its own universe in its own way. Yes, it is in the Star Wars universe, but Andor kind of is in its own little realm right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, right? We talk about the first time they're really doing this. It's like, wouldn't they have done Revenge of the Sith before the Obi-Wan series? You know what I mean? Or well, the Mandalorian verse, you can't really do a whole lot with that.
yeah.
So Return of the Jedi, it's not really relevant to the current story as much as Rogue One and Andor are. So I could really see that.
There's precedent for the Star Wars to re-release their films for like a major event. I mean, look at the original trilogy when they did the special editions re-released. They promoted the original films in theater, and then they released the special editions. And I believe Phantom Menace was re-released prior to Revenge of the Sith, I think. So yeah, I mean, it's precedent for this.
Yeah, well, they released. I'm sure you guys remember they released Phantom Menace and Attack the Clones in like 3D or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like after Revenge of the Sith. It was in like the 2007, 8, 9 range, and then they never did Revenge.
Yeah.
And then they never did Revenge of the Sith though for 3D out of those movies, which is I don't know, it was weird, but that was right when they got sold to Disney. But yeah, no, like it's great when they get those re-releases. Like, I mean, I mentioned it before, during the pandemic, me and my cousin went and saw Empire Strikes Back in theaters, and that was incredible. So, I definitely recommend people, like, if you haven't seen the movies in theaters, like, definitely go out and check them out when they are re-released. Like even when when Endgame came out, they had the original Avengers movie, and see, I wasn't a big Marvel fan back in like 2010, 11, 12. Like, I watched the movies, but I wasn't into it like I am now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even that mega into it now, but I'm more into it. And so I didn't appreciate it as much back then. But then, when Endgame came out, our theater had the Avengers movie in it, and I went and saw that in theaters, and it was like, oh man, this is I see now why it was like such a huge hit back then.
Yeah. So There you go. I know a lot of people on the Twitterverse. I see that everybody posting pictures about the poster today and tonight and everything through the weekend. So let us know. Are you planning on seeing Rogue One once again in the theater? I think I've seen it 5 times in the theater
Yeah,
before it left
I
because
saw it three.
it's an event. I see it I see it with somebody, then I see it with the parents, and I see it with another friend after, so it's just a reason for me to go see it multiple times. So I'm planning on making this my sixth at some point here coming up. Another
Nice.
big milestone for Star Wars this week in this week's releases in the paper canon, as Matt from Ion Canon, who was once a guest on our podcast at one point, says it, paper canon comics, the books as well. We had a release of the Dark Horse comics for the first time in years and years, and that's the Hyperspace Stories #1 story between Anakin and Obi-Wan and Padme and the height of the Clone Wars there. So that was a fun read. It's good to see the art style, the cover style of the good old classic Dark Horse with that good old emblazoned horse on the front of the cover there. Definitely brings nostalgia, even though, as I said many times, I never was really reading those comics, but I see people posted them in the Facebook groups and whatnot. I'm like, oh, that's cool. We're getting back to that area. But we also had Dr. Aphra, which brought back 000 and BT, the murder droids, the black protocol droid that has the torturous devices that extend from his fingers. Then you have the crazy astromech droid that has like rocket launchers and flamethrowers. They're back alongside of all of Aphra's exes to try to get her back from this possessed state that she's in. And that's as crazy as it sounds, I know, and that's only Dr. Aphra can get away with the crazy zany antics because it's Dr. Aphra, and that's what we expect from that series. So, and Darth Vader is basically him dealing with the sand this week, literally. He's on a pod racer, and there's a sandstorm, and he's having intense flashbacks to like all these major moments in his life, including sand and everything else, where he's talking about it with Padme. There's a lot of that in this book. And that's another discussion point or ranting point, depending on how involved you guys want to get into this conversation. But I gotta do a segment about this or something. I'll have to come up with some kind of name, but it's like Chris's something. But just me getting bent out of shape when it comes to the comics, when it comes to the comic, the books, like I was talking about Padawan a couple weeks ago. Okay, so this Darth Vader comic, written by Greg Pak, it's seen its up and downs, but I think we've definitely seen one of its bigger downs, and that's this book, because, dude, more than 50% of that book was basically flashbacks of stuff we've seen, like gratuitous flashbacks. And I'm not trying to complain. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, but it's just a thing I want to bring up is, I get it, like, they want to try to hold this storyline for the other storylines, but you gotta have some form of momentum here because you're gonna have people complaining and hitting a wall. Is essentially what's going on. And I've been discussing this with Matthew and with Steven Shinder and other guys that have been on this podcast at a certain point, and we're all in agreement that like what is going on. Like it's clearly evident that Lucasfilm doesn't know what story to tell Vader right now. So they're like just like shoving a bunch of flashback sequences. It's like. And it's certain flashback sequences that they've published in the same run previously. It's like, why are you wasting real estate in a 20-something page comic when 10 of those pages are things that we've either seen in a movie? I know they're trying to make a connection to his current thing where he's going to be redeemed in a couple weeks or a couple months when Vader ends up throwing the Emperor down the shaft, right? This is right before Return of the Jedi. So I get it. Like, Greg Pak is seeding the things of his redemption through the actual memories of his past, and like the sand, maybe that's drumming up some things, but this has been ongoing, and I think it just comes down to Lucasfilm and Disney and Marvel being very protective of the character of Darth Vader to the point where they are utilizing every last cent of this character to milk out of him because he is the icon of Star Wars, and you're always going to have a Star Wars comic about him. And even if that comic is not really going anywhere, we got to publish it because we need a Darth Vader comic, just like how Hasbro makes like 50 Darth Vader, like 5 Darth Vader figures a year. It's one of those things. And it's funny because we're going to be going into the Return of the Jedi era soon enough, and well, unless they want to completely rewrite Star Wars, Darth Vader doesn't exist anymore after Return of the Jedi. But then me and Steve were talking, we're like, how much do you want to bet they're going to make a Darth Vader series like following the moments after Obi-Wan's TV series with Vader? So basically, what I was talking to him in our chat is, okay, by the time we're 20 years in the future, we're going to know every single second that Darth Vader existed in the world, in the galaxy.
Oh man, I I don't know, like all this stuff, like things like that. I'm sure Milton's probably thinking along the same lines I am. Like, I think when it comes to stuff like this with Vader, for example, you get these kind of like, I don't want to say like side pointless stories, that type of stuff. You get these kind of like, I don't know, pointless, generic, whatever terminology you want to use. Not, I don't want to sound too harsh, but that's basically what it is. So like you get these type of things because to me, it all falls back on like my critique of, we talked, as Matthew used that whole term, like paper cannon. Like it all falls back on to the whole, my issue, like, between like, say, the current canon and Legends, where to me, it feels like they bootstrap the writers so hard, like, hey, you can tell a Vader story, but it has to be so generic, it doesn't really matter much. So like, versus like letting Vader go and do something really cool and like have him, I don't know, go do something cool with the Force and blah, 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 like have an amazing fight, whatever. Like, so like to me, it feels like they do that type of stuff to like bootstrap the writers where they only like give them these kind of like generic stories in some cases where basically they don't want to give them too much leeway where it takes away a potential for a movie or a show or a whatever it may be, a video game, even like potential on-screen media, because on-screen media makes the majority of the money there. So like to me, like even with you mentioning the whole story after Kenobi, I don't think that'll happen because we had those rumors of a potential Kenobi season 2. Like you have those type of things, and like to me, they won't probably give Vader any real estate because there's always that potential with Vader and Kenobi, or Vader and Andor, or Vader in whatever show that shows up before A New Hope. So like to me, like they bootstrap the writers with generic stories because it's that in case of emergency break glass, we can throw Vader in a show and everybody will be happy.
Yeah. Any thoughts on this, Milton?
That's my kind
I'm
of
about
critique.
to say, I'm just keeping it real. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, what are we doing? Like, what is, like, I'm gonna be that person because this is where I think, and what Ben said, he's absolutely right. And what you were saying, Chris, you're absolutely right. Why are we trying to stretch out Darth Vader? That makes no sense. Like, it's, yeah, we know there are things about him that we're just not going to know. And that's totally okay. His character when we first got him on screen, was built into mystery, and obviously we need to know who he is as a man and, some of his inner thoughts, inner monologues throughout the books. We got to know him there, which is dope. But it's like, bro, there's no need to do an additional stretched out comic book with flashbacks that means nothing that we've already seen. Like, this is, honest to God, this is why I really don't even read half the comics, because a lot of them, to me, it's like, okay, it's just we're going to get maybe a little morsel of something new, but a lot of it's fluff. A lot of it's just material.
Well, what's the impact?
Exactly. Yeah. There's no. I think one of you guys said it. There's no forward movement with his character or story. Yeah. We've gotten a lot of that in the visual media, or with the audio books, or with the actual novelizations, or I mean, just look at the legend stuff. Actually, goes into great detail about Vader's past or forward progression of his character throughout, the present timeline. So it's like, to me, all this extra stuff now is just milking the character, trying to get more like money. I mean, it's all what it's about. Let's be real. It's money. Yeah. It's marketing. It's just milking the cow for what it is. Yeah, so it's I'm over it.
Well, like, you speak of Legends. You speak of Legends, like, I mean, I'm not sure if both of you've read like all the Yuzin Vong books, but like in the first book, Chewbacca gets killed. Like, you talk about impact. Like, that's a knee-jerk impact. Like, it's like, whoa, they just killed
Exactly.
Chewbacca. Like, and that's something, to me, they would never, like, under this current era right now, they would never greenlight something like that because
No.
of the fact of why do that when we could make $100 million by putting him in a movie, or something. Like,
Right.
like it all falls back on that potential.
Here's
what
the
if.
difference thing. But here's the difference though. Like the Legends books were so fire. Like people read them consistently. I mean, we still talk about them
Yeah.
until this day. Those books
Yeah.
came out in the early 2000s.
2002, 1.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and they still
Late
hold up till this
90s.
day. I still listen to them all the time when I go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're that good of a stories. I mean, we all were saying it. Like the Legends books should have been adapted into some type of canon or used to be what they were supposed to be. They're supposed to be cherry picked into the films, but obviously we didn't get that. But it's like right now, it's like, what are we doing with these ridiculous comics? See, the first couple years of Lucasfilm, I'll give him credit. And Chris, you probably agree with me on this. The comics were actually pretty solid.
Oh yeah.
I like the Aftermath trilogy.
Yeah, the comics were pushing it, and actually, I think I remember buying like the first, not buying them, but getting the first like couple like issues of the Star Wars comic that continued. I think.
Yeah.
The original like trilogy stuff, and I was like, okay, this ain't bad. But then even like the Darth Vader stuff wasn't bad. I will say that Darth Vader series early on with the Vader down was pretty good.
Yep.
But now it's like, bro, like,
Well,
we're extra.
Well, here's where things are great for the Darth Vader comics when they're not tied to other comics. This is clearly what is happening is they can't get the Darth Vader story to a certain level because they have to wait for all the other comics to catch up because everything is supposed to be part of the Crimson Dawn crossover.
Yep.
And I think Lucasfilm has been shooting itself in the foot because they're trying to be too connected with everything going forward. So some things can't go too far forward in the time or progress the character too far because then this character has to come in and do that. And it's just like when you have that kind of handcuffs on you, something's got to give. And unfortunately, I think it's Darth Vader's just suffering for that whole thing.
Oh, for sure. Like I think some of the best stories, non on screen we've gotten from Vader. Like I really loved the one where he went to Naboo with like the monster, like the whole sea creature thing. Like that thing was, I think it was on Naboo.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot because that was really cool. I liked the whole. I think one of the best combinations of like attaching something to a movie and progressing a character forward more for sure was the whole Vader and Orchie like back and forth thing that happened in the comics there. I thought that was excellent.
And here's the thing, that happened in the same writer's run, Greg Pak's run. But guess what? That happened before War of the Bounty Hunters. This is what I'm saying. When they are doing their own thing separately and they don't have to worry about connecting everything, that's when the good stuff happens. And the whole entire 25 issues of Charles Soule's Darth Vader run where it tells a pivotal story for like how Anakin becomes Vader, how Vader deals with the armor and goes around killing Jedi. Like that's everything that most fans have wanted to see for a long time, and they delivered on that easily every single issue. That was great. It's just the connectivity. We've been saying it before. Sometimes canon, when it tries to tie itself too much, it ends up hurting itself, I think, in the end. So hopefully, Lucasfilm listens to the feedback out there, and if they do decide to do another crossover, maybe make it either shorter or just have less titles involved with it, because I get it. Like for a collector standpoint, they're thinking they're going to make a lot more money because everybody's going to have to get every single issue. And I don't even know if it's hard to tell if they are making a lot of money because the way that things are statistics wise is a little bit different because there's a different distributor now. It's not through Diamond, it's through Penguin. So it's hard for, I guess, people to track down their numbers. But anyway, that's my little discussion this week about the paper canon. But now we're going to get into something we haven't done in a while, and that is some good old Star Wars trivia. Last we left off, we were doing the Diplomatic Corps training exam, as if we're going to be part of the New Republic someday. There's all Legends, mind you. Legends and old school original trilogy. So everybody that's out there listening or watching, get a pen and paper, because we are going to run through this segment, which is all about the people of Star Wars. We're going to go from questions, let's go through from questions 11 to 30 this week, because we still have some pretty big stories that I want to get through to this week, but I did want to do
Sounds
some
good.
trivia.
Hey, we're hopefully we can continue, Milton. Our last score was an 89, so we were moving up.
All right.
All right, let's get this done.
Let's get this done. All right. So for everybody out there, get ready to go. If you're listening after the fact, see how well you do. Okay, so number 11 goes, on the Death Star, Leia was imprisoned on level 5, detention block blank. This is a fill in the blank question. Any ideas?
I mean,
The number.
isn't it cell block 1138?
Oh,
That sounds right to me.
that sounds
think
right to
it's-
me.
I think it's like I'm like 94% sure it's cell block 1138. I think, but
You're probably right. It sounds actually pretty consistent.
because I think that's where they put, because 1138's in every movie, and I think that's where it was.
Huh. All right. Well,
I could be wrong. Anyways,
here's a Legends question for everybody out there, and I don't even know this one. I'll be honest. I'll straight up. What are the names of Leia's children?
Jason, Jaina, and Anakin.
Correct.
See, I thought Anakin was the son of Luke
No,
or something.
that's Ben.
Ben,
See.
was that question
Because
12?
Anakin Solo, he winds up dying, and then they wind up naming
Whoa.
one of the we wind up renaming one of the ships after him, calling it the Anakin Solo.
Whoa.
Yeah, trust me,
pretty
man.
cool.
Legends is fire. Like that's
Oh,
what I'm
yeah.
saying. Like this should
So
have been the
good.
movies.
So good.
Like Jason and Jaina were so dope. Like
No,
I don't.
give us a five season Yuuzhan Vong adaptation of that whole thing. Like,
Look,
so good.
dead ass. Look, Chris. I know you're gonna do trivia, but if they give us I'm actually listening to the new Jedi Order books again right
Really?
now, dude.
So
Fire.
good.
Dude, they're so
They gotta
good.
remake those.
I
with
was
the
just thinking the
Legends
same thing.
Essentials
So
thing.
I saw they were doing that with like the other books. They need to remake the new Jedi Order books. I like the way the Legacy of the Force ones are fine. Like they can stay the way they are. The new
Yep.
Jedi Order need to be remade.
Yeah.
Fire. Like those are so good. Jason and Jane, I think, are like in their early 20s, like maybe late teens, early 20s at that point. And then in the new Jedi or the Legacy of the Force are like in their late 20s, early 30s. And
Oh.
it's such good character development. It's fire. Make
that
that
all-
into like a. Go ahead.
Now, is that all told in books, or are there like comics that travel
It's all
with
books.
them as well?
Straight up books.
Straight up
Oh,
books.
okay.
So how it goes, it's the original trilogy, then it's the new Jedi Order, and then it's the Legacy of the Force series, and then it's like the other one right after that. Whenever like spoilers, Jason gets wrecked and get beat, and then like it's Jaina's story and some other like stuff.
Like, it's New
I
Jedi
forget
Order,
what-
Legacy of the Force.
I
Yeah,
forget what the
whatever.
other series is called. Yeah, it's
Because
fire.
it's like 11 books. It's
Yeah.
The final. But that's the series where Luke's like in his 60s.
Luke's in
Holy
his 60s, but still powerful as hell.
Yeah, and that's when Luke was like, that's when a lot of the Luke stuff, obviously Luke got really established, but that's when like he was like the all-powerful Luke, like that we all imagined,
Mhm.
Um,
And
Well,
Chris,
yeah,
this is why I feel the way I feel about The Last Jedi, dude. Because the canon, the non-legend or the Legends books really fleshed out Luke, Leia, and Han to a point where I'm like, this makes sense how they would be developed as they gotten older. But
Now,
it is what
what
it is.
about the Jedi, not Jedi Apprentice, Jedi Academy? Wasn't there like a trilogy of books?
yep.
How's that one?
Which ones are you referring to, Ben? Remind me.
Jedi
Uh,
Search?
Yeah, the Jedi Academy books, that's the one that takes place like right after Return of the Jedi, like 3-4 years after when Luke has his temple built, and that's
yeah.
that's with
Is Kyle Katarn in that?
Yeah, Kyle Katarn. That's the one with Kyle Katarn.
He's in the books?
Yeah, that one.
Oh,
yeah, he's
shoot,
in
I'm gonna have
those
to read
books.
that.
I'm pretty sure he's in those books because I think he's
That's
one of
why
the
I see. I feel like those are part of, like, not the Jedi Prince series, because that's the Glove of Darth Vader, the Lost City of the Jedi, and I forget the other ones. They're like 8 other different like young novel.
Man.
Dude, they're so
Man,
good. Chris, I'm telling you, go back and start with the Jedi Prince books, because literally the Glove of Darth Vader, I read that when I was like in middle school, and it still holds up, and they don't have an audiobook yet. It's fire.
You know how it is, like with us having read all these Legends things. It's like the whole Bill Belichick thing. He's forgotten more football than he knows. Like we've forgotten more Star Wars Legends than we know because we've read like
so
everything.
Good. Like, literally, I'm looking up Legends book at least like a couple times a week. That's probably my week in Star Wars most of the time. Is like looking up Legends books, try to find like different ones I need to get.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I mean, remember the one Legends storyline? You have Boba searching for the clone trooper because he was dying. Like you have all kinds of good stories. I mean, like that's definitely a podcast. Yeah, I mean, we've talked Legends before. We'll have to do a Legends Part 2 podcast.
I'm curious to see what the chat thinks about what are like some of their favorite Legends books, or what would you want to see like recreated for audiobooks moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now they're just focused on doing the Rogue Squadron books.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it another chance. I think I am gonna maybe get into that series. The fourth one's coming out in November, re-release. I think just listening to it, there's too much going on where I was at the time, so I couldn't like concentrate, and then I was like so far behind on what the hell's going on. So that's why I'm like, certain books I just gotta read. I can't be listening to them unless I'm just sitting here in my room doing nothing and listening, which I do that with the audio dramas because I have to take notes on them because it's the canon stuff and all that. But anyway, I digress. Tangents galore, but this is the fun stuff because hey, your guys are schooling me on Legends, and it's fun. And going back to the fact of you got to read this. Here's my answer to that. I'm starting at the damn beginning. I have the first thing in the history of Star Wars, and that is the Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void book, and then I have the continuation of that in comic book form, which is Volume 1 of Tales of the Jedi, which is the Dawn of the Jedi stuff. Then I have the whole stuff where I have the entire story of Eula Dromo and Marco Ragnos, or whoever those old Jedi are from like the 90s. I have all that. So I actually do have some Legends stuff way in the beginning, and then I've been keeping tabs on the omnibus for the Knights of the Old Republic comics.
Chris, So Chris, let me give you just the titles of the Jedi Prince books. Okay, this is why I think you're gonna want to read these. Okay, they take place about a year after Return of the Jedi, and the covers are dope. Like I think once you see the art, you're gonna be like, oh, I need to read these. The first one, The Glove of Darth Vader. That should just tell you something right there. Okay?
So good.
Second book, Lost City of the Jedi. Zorba the Hutt's Revenge. Mission from Mount Yoda. Queen of the Empire, Prophets of the Dark Side. Those are the books. So and those are just the titles. Like you have to just, once you read them, you're gonna be like, man, there's so much potential with what they could have done with these books.
Wait a second. So they have, what is it? What's the Obi-Wan's books called?
Oh, Jedi Apprentice books.
Jedi Apprentice. Those are fire too.
Isn't that what you just said? These are called the Jedi Apprentice books?
No, these are called the Jedi Prince books.
Prince.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying Apprentice.
Prince.
I haven't even heard of these in my life. Jedi Prince books? What the heck?
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, like, they're dope.
Oh, yeah. They're incredible. Like that whole era of Star Wars is incredible. Like, Milton, we always turn our weekly podcast into a weekly Legends talk.
I know. Good. Okay. Ben, here's what's going to blow his mind. Chris, so in the main villain of those Jedi Prince books is potentially the son of Palpatine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. Once you read them, you're going to be like, wait a minute. They could have used this in the movies. Like, I'm dead serious, bro. You're going to be like, oh, wait, this could have been a character put in the movies.
Yeah. There's just so much meat and potatoes in there.
All right, so getting back to question number 13. What did Princess Leia say when she met Obi-Wan Kenobi?
She said?
I'll try to give you a hint. Hold on.
Wait, hold on. This is adult Leia?
Yeah, this is from the 90s, so this would be a New Hope Leia. So when did she meet him in that movie?
She never met him.
When she met him, she said, "You're here with Ben Kenobi," and they run, and then they see him fighting. No, They
Are
do
they? Are,
meet. They do meet in that room, I think, when they're fighting before
no, they're
Obi-Wan goes
separated
to.
the whole time.
No,
Because remember,
Oh wait, because Obi-Wan leaves to go do the tractor beam, and then he
yep.
confronts Vader, and then Luke and Han and Leia come out. And they're standing there, and they see him fighting. So, what she says to him?
Are they talking about the hologram message that she set up to address?
Oh, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. Okay, that's probably what it is. Because it was intended for Obi-Wan.
She probably said many years ago, you served my father in the Clone Wars, blah, 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 that type of thing.
Yep.
All right, so that's your answer. Okay, moving on. One of Leia's mentors was A. Biggs Darklighter, B. Senator Bim Kil Nehem, or C. Emyet Lur. Sorry, these are very Star Warsy names.
I don't know.
I feel like I don't know why, Milton. I feel like it's that Bim. I think it was in the audiobook. I think
It might be. I don't remember.
I think it's B, Bam, or Bim.
Okay. True or false, number 15? Leia has always trusted Lando Calrissian.
No. False.
False.
All right. 16. Luke Skywalker lived on Tatooine with A. Obi-Wan Kenobi, B. Owen and Brewer Lars, or C. Leia Organa. Some of these are just so easy, it's not even funny.
Yeah. 16B. Owen.
I mean, it could be Obi-Wan technically, because Obi-Wan did live on Tatooine. But we know the real answer.
Yeah, we'll lock it in with the Lars family.
All right, 17. Luke Skywalker's father is blank.
I don't know the answer.
Anakin Skywalker.
Is it Anakin? I think.
I think it's Anakin, or I don't know. We need what's his name, Maury here to go. You are the father.
Yeah, there we go.
18. On Hoth, what was Luke Skywalker's comlink code? A. Echo 3, B. Echo 7, or C. Echo 1.
It's Echo 7.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah,
I don't even know that one.
Well, that's my favorite number, so I'm pretty sure that's right.
Oh, I mean, well, let's think. Because Luke's the first one talking, right? He's the first one on the comlink. I think he's like Echo 7 to Echo 3. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, we'll say Echo 7. I think that sounds right.
All right, 19. Why did Luke Skywalker go to Cloud City? A. Yoda told him so. B. Leia left him a message saying she needed him. C. Darth Vader lured him there. Or D. He saw his friends in danger through the Force.
Oh, he had the vision.
Yep, D. Saw his friends.
Yep. All right, 20. According to Yoda, just before he became one with the Force, what did Luke Skywalker need to become a Jedi? A. More training. B. To confront Darth Vader. Or C. More experience.
Confront Darth Vader.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think.
What a hell of a way to test yourself, right? Like, to become a Jedi, you have to defeat like the most powerful person next to the Emperor. Like, that's
the most
one hell
powerful,
of
pretty
a
much
test.
killing machine.
Yeah. Like, how many Jedi he's killed before, and like this fledgling Jedi just has to take him down. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And I think that's the key, right? Because Yoda knows that even if you are a super powerful Jedi, you don't stand a chance against Vader. The only reason why Luke does is because he's his son, and that's like through an emotional response.
If he was
the
John
only
Smith
way.
Jedi, he'd be dead.
Right.
Like,
yeah, just because of the emotional resonance. That is why he's the only one that could really pull it off. All right, getting back into it. Let's see. Number 21, true or false? Luke Skywalker was wrong when he says there was still good in Darth Vader.
No, wait, say that again?
Yeah, that's said.
Okay, true or false? Luke Skywalker was wrong when he said there was still good in Darth Vader.
He was wrong, so that means
that's false.
Vader. Yeah, that would be false. Yeah. I always get thrown off by like kind of those double negative questions like that.
Yeah. 22. What,
false.
According to Emperor Palpatine, was Luke Skywalker's greatest weakness? A. His faith in his friends. B. His overconfidence. C. His Jedi training. Or D. His age.
His faith in his friends.
Faith in his friends. Yep.
23. Name the 3 figures Luke Skywalker saw in the shadows after the Battle of Endor.
Anakin, Obi-Wan, Yoda.
True.
Okay. Number 25. When Luke was attacked by the Wampa on Hoth, he was A. going back to base, B. checking out a meteorite, C. doing a spore check on the area outside of the base.
Meteorite, I believe. Was that B?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think meteorite.
That's right.
All right. Number 26. Luke Skywalker believed his father was A. Jedi Knight, B. served in the Clone Wars, C. was a navigator on a spice freighter. Oh, that's a trick question there.
The Spice Navigator.
Yeah, the
Right?
spice one. Yeah, it's definitely the spice one.
Okay.
I think.
All right. Moving on. We have a couple more to go here. 27. In his lightsaber duel with Darth Vader in Cloud City, Luke lost his blank.
Hand and lightsaber.
Yep.
All right. 28. After hearing Leia Organa's message, Luke agreed to go with Obi-Wan Kenobi to A. Alderaan, B. Yavin 4, C. the Death Star, D. Anchorhead, or E. Mos Eisley.
Say that again.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, after here, there's probably multiple. Wait, is there multiple on this
So
one?
we gotta think where he heard. So you heard the message first in the hut, and then what's the multiple choice?
Okay, they wanted to go to A. Alderaan, B. Yavin 4, C. the Death Star, D. Anchorhead, or E. Mos Eisley.
It's got to be Anchorhead or Mos Eisley, right? Wait, no, because he says to Obi-Wan. I'm trying to talk this out. So he says to Obi-Wan, "You can get a ship at Anchorhead." Blah 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 blah. And then Obi-Wan's like, "No, Luke, you got to come with me." Blah 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 blah. And they go back or something, and like the Tuskens have slaughtered, or
The Stormtroopers.
are the Stormtroopers slaughtered Owen and Brew. Luke's like, "I have nothing left here.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go with you." Does he
To
say it?
Alderaan.
Yeah, I think he says to Alderaan.
Yeah, he says, "I want to go to Alderaan to learn his way to the Force." Yeah, he says that.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Okay, so yeah, we'll say Alderaan. Is that A?
Yeah, Alderaan is A.
Okay, we'll go with Alderaan.
Okay, 2 more questions to go for this week. Number 21. Of Luke's father, Obi-Wan Kenobi said, A. He was the best starfighter pilot in the galaxy. B. He was a good friend. C. Darth Vader betrayed and murdered him. D. All of the above. Or E. None of the above.
All of the above.
Say that one more time.
Yeah, of Luke's father, Obi-Wan said, he was the best starfighter pilot in the galaxy. B. He was a good friend. C. Darth Vader betrayed and murdered him. D. All of the above. Or E. None of the above.
Oh, that's all the above, right?
Yep. Number 30, last question. How did Luke Skywalker get captured in the Battle of Endor?
I mean, he just turned himself in, right?
Yeah.
Because the Imperial officer, I think, literally says he surrendered.
Yep.
Mhm.
I believe. Yeah. So he just turned himself.
Yeah, he
in.
walked up and was just like, "Yep, I want to talk to Darth Vader," basically.
What a way to walk up to the bad guys.
They're like, "Oh, that was easier than we thought." Okay, we
Yeah.
got the most wanted person in the rebellion just walking up to us. Okay.
Yeah, time for a
My
day off
job here is
now.
done. Yeah, basically, I'm done. All right, so let's go over the answers. So number 11, we have. Let me turn back a page. Number 11, we have AA23.
Dang, I was
Yeah.
way off.
People are way off on that one. Number 12, Jason Solo, Jaina Solo, and Anakin Solo. So you guys got
Yes,
that.
sir.
Yep.
13 was a trick question. They never met.
Yeah, but we thought that. We said that.
Yeah.
You said that first. You're like, they never met. Well, now we know they actually did meet at one point, but this is all back then. Cool. Number 14 is B.
Yep. Got it.
Number 15 is false.
Yep.
Number 16 is B.
Yep.
Number 17 is Anakin.
Correct.
Number 18 is A.
You might have to check that because I'm not sure if that was because I just wrote down the number 7, but I'm not. I didn't.
Echo
A or
3.
B. Oh, okay. Nope. So it was wrong.
Damn.
Dang.
I thought it was
Yeah,
Echo
so that was
7, but-
I
Echo.
thought
Yep.
it was too. That sounded right when I said it out, but I guess not. Okay, continue.
Yep. 19 is D. Then
Yep.
20 is B. 21
Yeah,
is
Hold on,
false.
hold on. You know what that answer
Oh.
that we mentioned? He says Echo 3 to Echo 7. That's why we thought that. Now that I think about it.
Echo 3 to
Oh.
Echo. Oh, because he
Yeah.
literally does say the number 7 though.
Yes.
It's not himself.
All right, so number. What are we on here?
We're at
Number 20.
21. Or
21
20,
is false.
Oh, yep. 21's false.
22 is A.
Yep.
23 is Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Anakin.
Yep.
24 is C.
Yep.
25 is B.
Yep.
26 is C. That is Navigator on a Spice Freighter.
Yep.
We have 27 right hand and his lightsaber, so it's good that you specifically called that out there, Ben.
All right.
Hey, there we
Because
go.
we know now that these questions do have
They're
multiple
specific.
answers sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 28 is D.
Which one
29
was
is
that?
28.
That one was the
that,
plan.
that was Anchor. Wait.
Wait, was? Because A, we put A
Oh,
as
wait. 28 is D because that's Anchor. Doesn't he say something like, we could take you as far as you want to Anchorhead?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, wow, that's a really, like, specific
That's
one.
really tricky. Okay.
Because that's when he didn't want to go with them, right? When he first heard that, he's like, he didn't really want to go anywhere.
I think.
He's like,
man,
I can take you as far as
Right.
as I can to Anchorhead, and then from there you could take a speeder or something.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Man, that's
Anchorhead is
we're-
basically where the Obi-Wan series takes place, isn't it?
yeah, that's where
I think so.
that's where basically where the Kenobi series takes place. Man, guys, we might have our scene order kind of screwy on A New Hope right now.
Dude, we know so much information. It's not even funny. That's probably why we get all screwed
know.
up.
I know.
I mean, look, if it was gun our head, we'd get this figured out.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Oh man, 29 is D.
Okay.
All of the above, you guys got that one. And
Yep.
30, he didn't. He turned himself in. All right, so
we missed one.
do the math there, Ben. How
All
did
right,
you
one
guys do
second.
this time?
So we're out of 20 questions tonight. So two. So we missed 3 out of 20.
Pretty damn
So-
good
So
percentage to
that
me.
would be a 85%, I believe, right?
Let's go.
Yeah, that's a high B right there. That's good.
Yep. Hey, 85%, Milton. We're keeping steady.
That definitely passes you in college for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So far, you are on your way to become New Republic citizens
Yeah. See,
of
look,
the
this
workforce.
is our trend for the scores right now. So we've been doing pretty good. Week one was a little rough, but that was the really tough questions. I think it was 77, and then 80, and then 89, and then now 85.
There we go.
Yeah.
We're good, man. We're averaging 80-some%.
Yep,
Yeah.
We're moving up the board.
Yeah. Yeah. So Chris Forsyth, yeah, he's quoting, you can board a freighter or whatever you want. That's basically how the quote goes. So tell us in the chat, how'd you guys do after the fact in the comments? Or you could always send us a tweet using hashtag outerrimtransmission at Ben, at me, at Milton. What are your scores like? How have you guys been making out with this New Republic entrance exam? We are really interested in knowing. So getting into our top subject, our top discussion here, we had a report come out. This was a report by Variety, but the review was done by SiriusXM Radio, where John Boyega had a cool conversation on this show, just about reminiscing about his time on Star Wars, and we all know that there has been a lot of upheaval, unfortunately for John Boyega, because his treatment of his character and everything, and just how he was treated on set in general, with everything going on, was just not to his liking. Long story short, it basically sounds like he is probably not going to come back to do Star Wars unless something drastically changes. I will read the direct quote to you guys right now. He's saying in response of just this one question. At this point, I'm cool off it. I'm good off of it. Tell me, I think Finn is at a good confirmation point where you can just enjoy him and other things, the games, the animation. But I feel like episode 8 to episode 9 was good for me. Oh man. So he really, we've all been saying this, right? It's like you build up Finn to basically be the main character with like the trailers and the promotion with him with the lightsaber and Force Awakens, and I was so excited to see him like come to fruition. And then by the time I get the Rise of Skywalker, it's almost like we didn't know what was going on with his character. So, and then he also goes on to saying, because they bring up Moses Ingram, and we know that Moses Ingram had a lot of flack thrown her way just because of the color of her skin and what property she was in, and just just people just saying horrible things to her. And this has happened to a number of actors in Star Wars. Kelly Marie Tran,
Daisy Ridley got
Daisy
ran on social
Ridley.
media. Yep.
Yeah, so basically what happened with Moses Ingram is Kenobi's actor himself, Ewan McGregor, got on the phone and recorded something. And it actually seemed to be pretty effective, and it was like the first time that Disney, like, basically, and even Disney put out something too, but Disney had been like kind of off the books when it came to this sort of thing.
Right.
So basically, John Boyega is acknowledging that unfortunately somebody has to be like the person that gets unfortunately criticized before eventually somebody makes a stand, and
Right.
Disney makes a stand with Moses. And unfortunately for him, it's just like it didn't work out that way for him. So he's just talking about he's happy that finally like people are saying stuff and are standing up, but for him, unfortunately, it wasn't in his cards that he was able to get the same support, and because of that, that's one of the reasons why he pretty much staying cool off of it. He's fine, and just the character, how the character was treated itself, it just seems like, I would say never, but at this point, I wouldn't expect Finn to be anything in the next decade. I would assume from all this,
Right.
he's very much excited to do other things at this point.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll just start this one out. Like, so I didn't read the article, and mainly because one, I didn't have time, but two, I'm glad I didn't because, look, let's look at it this way. Character-wise for Finn, we know that Disney did his character wrong because Disney pretty much fooled us because we all thought Finn was going to be that guy when it comes to being like, potentially a Jedi or more active character that pushed the plot along, where we're thinking, oh, this is a new character, it's a stormtrooper that's slightly different, all that type of stuff. And I'm like, yes, I'm all about it. Again, I don't mind the Force Awakens, obviously Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, when it just comes to the Finn character, they did him dirty because all he does is chase Rey, or he chases
Rey.
He screams Rey, or he's with old girl Rose, or he's with that new chick in the third one. It's like all Rey or all Finn is good to do is to scream Rey and to chase a female, and there's nothing wrong with chasing women. Trust me, that's some of the best things that men can do in the world. But what I'm saying when it comes to Star Wars, all right, you did my man's dirty, and I completely understand why he's like, I'm turned off by this character. I'm turned off by how you had me come in one way, then you write me another way where it's like I don't really do anything. He did nothing in the last two movies. But I mean, honestly, a lot of his story was pretty much told in episode 7. And really, I was thinking, well, we're going to get something about his backstory with his family potentially, or something with Phasma. Like there was so much potential there, but they kind of just didn't have. Again, this goes back to them not having a plan. Facts. Yep. Now the other stuff will just be what it is. For some weird reason, if you are an actor of color, a female, or especially a female of color, like for some reason the internet is weird about that. Like the internet feels like movies are being too woke, or you're washing out the white actors. I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? It's characters. Like you know what I'm saying? It's not like they're playing historical characters like, like a Martha Stewart or Martha Washington
Martin Luther
or
King
Martin
or
Luther
whoever.
King or
Yeah.
JFK, whose
Yeah.
race and ethnicity that character depends on that. This is Finn. We don't know if he's black or white. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, Kara Zor-El or
Well,
Kal-El
technically,
in
in Star Wars,
Star
all
Wars.
these humans are aliens because it's a
Exactly.
different galaxy.
Facts.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that's my point though. They're all aliens. Look at DC. You got Kara Zor-El, you got Kal-El. They're aliens. I could play Kal-El if they wanted to play me. Yeah, honestly.
Yep.
But honest to God, the problem I think that John Boyega has is that Disney, for some reason, refused to back him up when clearly he was the poster child of a new era of Star Wars. And they did nothing to support him in that nature. And I can see why he's burnt by it. This might upset some people if they listen or watch this, but it's like, hey man, I'm with John on this. I'm not giving back to Disney if you didn't support me when I try to give all of my love, my soul, my passion to a project that I thought was going to be inspirational to young fans, and especially young fans of color. And it's like y'all don't support me on that, like miss me, but you finally do it, which is great. But I can see how John's like, nah, I'm done. Like I don't need this anymore. I can't trust you. So it is what it is, man. Like the internet's weird like that. People need to just stop playing around and just stay in their mom's basement. Like just because you don't want something different, don't attack somebody because the way they look or because they're not a white male. It's like, come on, man, that's stupid.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Oh, you're preaching all facts, Milton. Like all that is 100% on point. Like to me, to address the first part of the thing, the article. So, with John Boyega and Finn, as you mentioned, like we all thought he was going to be a critical character for the series, and he ended up really not being. Like you could cut him out of Last Jedi and the last one, Rise of Skywalker, and they could probably still have had a similar outcome. Like he's useless in those two movies. And I even remember back when The Last Jedi came out, not to like keep dunking on that movie, but like he did like a GQ interview back then, and he literally used the word benched, like he was benched in that movie. So like you have things like that. So he has those underlying feelings toward those movies, like on screen, and then you have the off-screen issues. I mean, not even issues, like horrible things, obviously going on the internet with fans, and like to me, not to like go all like say like from the Disney side of things on not defending John. Think about it this way, like back in 2015 though, it wasn't like a company to step out and defend their employee like that wasn't really a thing. Like, they weren't doing that back then. Like nowadays it's more like more of an open environment to like talk about these critical issues and things like they did with the Kenobi series with Moses Ingram and like things like that. But back then, and like even just 2015, just how many 7 years ago that was, that wasn't a common thing. I mean, look, they literally let Daisy Ridley got ran off social media because people were fat shaming her, and she's like 120 pounds. Like,
Well,
you
also too,
you have
remember how she also talked about like, I think was it gun violence or something? It might have been the gun violence thing too, and like people like was hating on her, and she's like, "Well, I ain't got time for this. I'm done." And this is where I think these big corporations, I don't know why they're scared, because like they're not going anywhere. Disney ain't going out of business anytime soon, because Disney is linked into everything in the world, whether it's TV, film, game or video games, technology, sports. I mean, hell, Disney owns a sports network, ESPN.
Yeah.
They got
And
plenty
ABC.
of revenue stream. Yeah, ABC. They got plenty of revenue streams to where if one is slightly hurting, they're going to make up for the other. So when Disney don't come out to defend these actors, whether they're women or people of color, that's a problem to me, especially in my community. Because I mean, look, if I would happen to work for those corporations or any corporation, I want to know that corporation's got my back, especially if I'm doing the right thing and giving all I can to a corporation. And if someone disagrees with Milton Weber being in that corporation because of the way he looks, fine. I'm that's fine. That's your opinion. You can have it. And I'm going to respond and say, hey, I disagree with that. This is how I feel about it. But if they're coming in to attack me personally and making threats about me, I expect my
Yeah.
employer to say, hey, we got your back, Milton. No matter what, we want you here. You're part of this family. We'll take care of you. Clearly, they
Yeah.
did not make John feel that way. And I'll never forget, I have a personal story kind of in this nature. When I was 18 years old, I was a senior in high school, and I played on the football team. And I remember this kid, this was 2005. This kid, I had no idea who he was, pretty much made significant racial comments about me being black. And this is back when the flip phones were like had the grainy cameras. So
yeah.
this is like 2005, dude. So I remember my coach, who's white, he heard about this and he knew I was so upset. And I don't really react to that stuff at the time. And I reacted to this kid. And I threatened him. I didn't put my hands on him, but I threatened his life pretty much. Because I knew I had a future. I didn't want to take it too far. I remember my coach hearing about this. And he handled it. He had my back. He was willing to be fired because he defended me, kicked this kid off the football team, and like told him pretty much that he's a piece of shit of a person. And I knew from that point on that my coach got my back. He wants me here on his team. He wants me in his life as a man and as a friend. I'm going to be cool with him till the day I die because he defended me. He supported me. If he didn't, we probably would have a different relationship at this time. But I think we all want to be supported when we're working for someone, friends with someone, especially if someone's attacking us for the way we look because you don't like that this company's trying to be different.
Yeah. Oh, that's 100% true. It's like you're like, their employer, like even back then, like they should have, defended John because it's like at minimum, okay, not to like, from their point of view, not to say, oh, it wasn't just like a minimal, like a background character getting attacked. It was your lead actor, lead actor of your movie. That's what kills me with that whole situation is it's not like this is some, of course, obviously like even if a background character is getting attacked, like that's still horrible. But your lead actor of the movie is getting attacked like
he's
that
getting,
back
he's
then.
doing all the promotion.
Well, see, the thing is back then, even from just say like the PR point of view, like they should have defended him for one, and for two, I remember back then he was replying back to tweets and battling people on Twitter and stuff, and like that's when they should have addressed it and went, oh man, our employee's having to defend himself on social media and us as a multi-billion-dollar iconic organization is not like, what is the problem here? Yeah. So like, that type of stuff it makes you like wonder why, like,
right. And let's be real here. I remember Kathleen Kennedy always talking about, oh, Star Wars is an inclusive property. Everybody's special. Everyone's
then you
important.
see that stuff happen.
Then you see this crap. There's no need for this. I mean, this goes back to that Moses Ingram stuff that happened months ago, how she was getting attacked, and those messages were just disgusting.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, for those weirdo nerd goofballs out there, they're in their mom's basement because no one will ever date them. They don't got jobs or whatever. I'm talking to you, okay? Yep. Stay in the basement. Nobody wants to hear from you. You don't matter in this universe. Like, you really don't. Because, again, you have three men here who come from three different backgrounds who look different.
Completely.
Okay, completely different. But we all can respect each other as men and where we come from. And we all commonly love Star Wars, and we can share our experiences about how Star Wars brought us together, or how it makes us feel as human beings, how it's affected our families. And not one of us on this panel is going to sit here and say, well, you're wrong. I disagree with that. I think you're trash because, you look this way, you talk this way, you look this way. No, we're going to say, hey, I respect that. I love that. I'm glad that Star Wars has brought you into here and able to bring in another cultural experience into this. I love that.
Well, that's one thing. That's why I like, of course, like this is a Star Wars podcast, but we all like fitness here. That's why I like weightlifting so much. Because, like a barbell crosses over like all cultures, all religions, all genders, all sexualities, all everything. And like
it doesn't know prejudice.
Anybody who lifts weights respects any other person who's lifting weights because you're putting in work like I am. And like, no matter if we have, you could come from whatever entirely different background. And if we're in a gym lifting together, like, hey, we're all here for the common like love of the gym. And like Star Wars fans, instead of doing that, they're like, hey, we're all here at the gym, but we're all like sitting in our own corners throwing weights across the room at each other. And like, and that's what gets me sometimes with some of this stuff with like, like Moses and John and Daisy and things like that.
Kelly.
Kelly, out of all the people, I'm surprised Oscar Isaac didn't have any really issues back then.
Right.
But like you have like most of the lead actors from this trilogy, getting attacked on social media, and it's like, come on, guys, and like to me, that's when, of course, like it's easy to say when we don't have like millions of people watching us all the time, but like that's when like if I was on that set of people, like if I was one of the lead actors, like that's when you go and post a video like Ewan McGregor did. Like, I feel like you got to have more people that like have the courage to step out, or even just the creatives behind the scenes. Like have J.J. Abrams come out and go, no, this can't happen. Have Ryan come out and say, no, this can't happen, and
Right.
so on. Like, that sort of stuff. Like that's why it was great. Ewan did that because him being the lead guy of the series, and when he did that, it like kind of shut everybody up because it was like, whoa, like they're actually serious this time versus not taking it seriously before.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Is John Boyega, man, oh man, in the lead up to The Force Awakens,
I loved him in the
I
movie.
loved
Like
all the
I loved,
promotion, how
yeah,
excited he was. He was like as if all of us fans were in Star Wars. I loved seeing that lead up, that build up to what he did in the aftermath of Force Awakens, and hearing all that stuff, seeing the stuff him playing with Battlefront 2, Battlefront, all this kind of fun stuff. Like he's one of us, and to just see it go down and down and down to the point where it just like regresses, and hoping for the best, and it just kind of leaving off.
well,
Yeah,
I
it's
was going to say
just
to throw one more thing in there too, real quick, before we like go on from this topic. I do think though, like even the stuff like that he said in this interview, and like the of course, like all of the like the Moses Ingram stuff, the current things that they were dealing with. I do think though, so like John Boyega is saying this right now, but I do think at some point we could see him back potentially at some point, because with actors at the end of the day, like everybody has a price, like your negotiating price. Like if they were going to give him 10 million to come back for say a series, he could easily say no, 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 not after the way I got treated. I need 30 million, and like he could definitely play hardball, and I could see him coming back at some point, and it all comes down to like the terms and stipulations, because like I mean, look, we saw that with like Robert Downey Jr. after the first Iron Man movie back then. He said he wasn't going to come back to play Iron Man. Like, look up the old interviews. Like, he was not coming back, and the reason he was saying that was for leverage over Marvel, because his contract, he was on a 1-year contract. So, like, I feel like there's a chance John Boyega could come back, but he's not going to come back, in my opinion, based on just this interview even alone, for like the passion of Star Wars. It would probably be like a job.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
What?
I think he'd have to come back for like I think if Adam or Daisy, came. I mean, 'cause
Yeah,
I think those guys are pretty close. Or I know him and Oscar are tight. Like, I think
yeah,
if Oscar come back, it had to be for them. And I mean, look, does he really need to come back? No,
No.
because he's doing stuff
no,
outside of Star Wars. Like he's doing so many of these independent films, and he's getting great accolades and recognition for it. Like he's a really good actor. Like people
oh yeah,
don't understand that. Like this kid, he's an adult, he's our age. Like he is a really good actor, and I could see him in the next 10 years potentially winning a couple Academy Awards, especially for the projects that he does pick. And I know he's a character actor. We've seen it.
yeah.
He has a lot of charisma. He knows how to be a professional when he's doing his job. He's reliable, obviously, as an actor and as a
He's
person. I
good
mean,
on
I love
promoting.
good on promoting, but I love him as a man. Like he's got such a
Yeah.
rich personality. I'm thinking, dude, like why wouldn't we want to see him on screen, whether it's in Star Wars or other things? So if he does come back, great. If he doesn't, I'm cool with it. Because I respect that he's comfortable where he's at as a
Yeah.
professional.
Yeah, and you both have. I've been a little quiet during this discussion because you both have just brought up all the points that I would agree with, and that I feel like I can't add too much on what you guys have already discussed. But I think it's just worth noting. This is a new age we're in here, and things don't fly the way they used to, and it's sad to see how they did back in the day. But this is where we are, and everybody's got to be treated with respect. And Disney is losing out on one of the the best actors in the last 20 years, I would say. That's up and coming, right? This guy came off Attack the Block, did a great job in the first movie, and it has been in many movies since. And it's their loss for just not defending him, but also just being more cognizant of his effect on the entire population, and it's crazy that they didn't really see that with the foresight that they would have had, the effectiveness.
Yeah, oh yeah, my thing with John Boyega too. I mean, I'm not sure like how you guys feel, but I feel like out of the actors, like I feel like the most real actors, like I feel like out of the ones from the sequel trilogy, minus the OG actors, I really feel like John and Daisy are the most like relatable. Like I feel like those two. I feel like John and Daisy are the two that you could just see yourself like hanging out with.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like they're the most real, like genuine people. Like John, especially. Like John, 100%. Like you said, he was playing Battlefront leading up to Force Awakens and all that. Like I feel like he's just like one of the guys you could hang out with. Like like he seems like a good, genuine dude, and like just like you said, he's being successful in other projects. So like I feel like definitely for the foreseeable future, like for the next 5 to 8 years, we're for sure not going to see him in anything
Right.
Star Wars related. But maybe eventually down the road, like you said, Milton, though, your point was spot on. The only way he does it, I think, is if you get like Daisy and Poe, Oscar Isaac, like those. Yep, Oscar, like those guys to like kind of convince him to. But he's not going to go back to do to do our idea we talked about before, a standalone Finn series. I just don't see anything like that happening, just because
facts. But then if he does,
have-
and I think it goes back to that leverage thing you mentioned. I think if he goes back to do like a Disney Plus series or whatever, he's going to ask for. It's not even about money at this point. It's going to say, I need some creative control on this character.
Yep.
Because like I do feel like his character was disrespected, especially after that first movie. Like Finn was such a strong character in that first one, man. Like I always categorize Finn as the cowardly lion, in that first movie, because he was so scared and so confused and didn't know what to do, and he kept running. But then at the end, he had the courage to step to Kylo Ren to save his friend. And it's like, and it became such full circle. Then it's like, oh, there's so much more potential story. Maybe we'll explore why he was taken from his family. Maybe Phasma took him from his family. You could have wrote such a good story for him moving forward those next two films. But this goes back to Disney's lack of plan, or excuse me, Lucasfilm's lack of planning with their sequel trilogy films. Like I stand by that till this day, and pretty much Ray or Disney or Daisy confirmed it during the making of The Rise of Skywalker. How they were rewriting that film during that time. So like, come on, man, like it's just ridiculous. So if I'm him, I'm asking for boatloads of money. I'm asking for creative control of the character if I want to come back.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a good. I mean, from his side of it, it's definitely he has all the leverage to any demand he wants. Basically, is
Right.
what it would be in his situation, which is good. Which is he deserves it. He deserves it.
Agree. And now here's the thing: Disney, Lucasfilm, throwing it out there. If y'all don't want to take him back, or if he don't want to come back, y'all can cast me.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey,
I'll do it.
do that.
Y'all just got to like write me nice, because I'm not trying to be no trash character.
But like, what would happen? Let's look at the future before we move on here. What would happen if he definitely wouldn't come back? Would they ever do? I mean, would they do more Star Wars with Daisy and Oscar without him? Like, I feel like he's part of the big three, even though he wasn't a major focus. But I mean from a
like,
PR perspective, how would that go?
I'm always for the recast.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think
I'm okay.
like no actor's bigger than the role, in my opinion. Like not a single one, because like to me, you have big characters played by multiple people, like even more iconic than, or as iconic as Star Wars, like Superman. He's been played multiple times. You got the Joker played multiple times. You got all these icons played. James Bond. I mean, how many actors we have?
Batman, James Bond, Superman, Batman. Jack Ryan. Like you can just name them, bro.
What's his name? The guy that I'm so horrible at names. Will Smith, and then Idris Elba in Suicide Squad, Deadshot. Like you have those. You have those
There are
guys.
two different characters.
No,
right?
two different characters.
Oh shoot, they are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh man, I thought,
Bloodsport.
I thought that
No,
was
Bloodsport.
Deadshot.
Well, no,
Suicide
you're right though. Here's the thing though. You're
but
right. It was supposed to be like that, but
it
then
was
they decided to
implied.
change it to keep it open for Will Smith.
Yeah,
So
Ah,
they went with Bloodsport.
that's true. I forgot about that.
Yes.
Man, all right. So my head canon just canonized him as Deadshot. But anyways, but like you have those big recasts happening all the time.
Spartacus.
Spartacus, exactly. Like that's a huge example there. And like to me, there's no actor that's bigger than the role. Like I've always been a proponent of that. Like even back when like Carrie passed away, I think they should have casted somebody even to do motion capture, even to work around her character or something. Because to me, even JJ like had implied like his direction was supposed to be like first movie Han, second movie Luke's movie, third movie Leia's movie, and then it they kind of had to make it all kind of janky in episode 9. So like they should have somehow recasted and worked around it, because that's one thing in my opinion with movie fandom. I mean, I'm not sure how you guys feel exactly, but I think the current movie culture, it seems like on the internet especially, is like the actors own the role. Like if the actor stops playing it, like the fans don't want anybody else to play it other than that one actor. And I'm like, you gotta remember the actor is playing the character. The character isn't playing the actor.
Right. True.
And fans forget that a lot of times. And it's like, I'm all for the recast. Like if you come down to your last resort, John Boyega won't do it. Like, and you tell him, hey, we're gonna move on, and you're gonna have to like deal with it. And if he says okay, then that's on him. Like to be real, like if I don't want him coming back a year later when I have this other guy casted and we're in production and going, hey, wait up. And it's like, no, you're stepped out, man. Like, so, like, I feel like with the recast thing, you have to be careful with it, like how you handle the negotiations, like leading up to it, all that sort of stuff. But you have to do it. I mean, look, they handled the Ahsoka stuff perfectly, in my opinion, given it was an animated character to live action.
Ben, here's a good example of recasting. If this would have happened, like the rumor that they were talking, not recasting, but adding a different version of this character, no one would have been complaining about this. And this is why I know it's BS when it comes to fandom and how like we're just so stupid like that. Multiverse of Madness. If Tom Cruise was the alternate version of Iron Man in that movie, no one would have said nothing about it. They'd be like, oh, that's so dope. Because he was rumored to play Iron Man at one point. But we get to see a multiverse version of Tony Stark, and we get to see Tom Cruise as that character. They'd be like, oh, let's see what Tom Cruise would do with this character. Let's bring him back and, whatever. I guarantee you that would have been fine by movie fans. I guarantee that. So when I hear fans say like, oh, don't recast, blah, blah, that's ridiculous because we're all going to get over it. We're all going to get over it.
I mean, we have how many Batman do we have?
Yeah, people were fine with Pattinson. And look, and I like the Bat, and I was one of the fans of him to play that role, but
he doesn't even work out.
Well, here's the thing, though. That Batman was a complete. That's a separation of age, right? That's a separation of age. You got Ben Affleck, who is the old Batman. Pattinson is like year 2.
Facts. We have a simultaneous universe going on where they're trying to build a Batman.
Well, that's easy.
Matt Reeves universe.
Multiverse.
It is. But you hear the stupid excuses. You're going to confuse the fans. You're going to confuse the fans. Come on, people aren't stupid. Well, people are stupid, but we like the nerds know.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If you had Alden Ehrenreich playing Han Solo after Return of the Jedi, then we have issues, right? Like you can't.
I agree.
You can't like get around that. That's impossible because you got the actor. So. I mean, if they come back with Finn, hey, maybe wait 10 years, he ages up a little bit, then you could explain it a little bit easier.
Sebastian, what's his face? Who's the Sebastian
Stan?
You're telling me no one would have been complaining if he played Luke post Return of the Jedi. I'd have been fine with it. I'd have been totally fine with it. I'm like, you know what? Give us that post Return of the Jedi Luke for that 10, 12-year period.
I don't know, man. You're dealing with the main character of Star Wars, though. That's got to be an exception.
Now, here's the thing, though. You could use the de-aging technology and which obviously they've done that. But here's the thing, though. Star Wars is not committed to telling those stories in the first place of them like post Return of the Jedi. Like they're refusing to do that, or they didn't want to go that far. They could have done it, but it's like at this point you can't just hold these characters and the fans hostage because you don't want to use different actors. Like, it is what it is. Like, I mean, look at the Jack Ryan series. Harrison Ford was Jack Ryan. Well, prior to that, it was Alex Baldwin, and then Harrison Ford took the role, and then it was Chris Pine, and now it's what's his name? He played Fantastic Four guy in the newest movie.
Oh,
but like,
Oh,
he's
that
Jack
guy.
Krasinski.
yeah, Krasinski.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like,
Well-
come on, man. Like,
Well, you have him. You have there's plenty of recast examples that work. Like, look at the Batman trilogy for the Nolan trilogy. Rachel gets recasted from Batman Begins to The Dark
Exactly.
Knight. Like, so
Oh.
you know, you
Terrence
have
Howard, Iron Man, War
Yep.
Machine,
exactly. So
Edward
you have
Norton, Edward Norton Jr. right
Yeah.
there. Hulk.
Yeah, you have so many recasts that happen, and to me, you could easily address it too by just having like the current actor. Say if Mark Hamill comes out and says, "Hey, I support actor, whatever, fill in the blank, blah blah blah. Here's why." Then anybody that complains, send them that video. Like, that's all you got to do, and like as long as they have them approved, you're good. The only situation that it can't really happen in currently is Indiana Jones, because Harrison Ford literally said Indiana Jones dies with me. But other than that, like, I feel like every other character is like, you're pretty much greenlit to go. And to me, I mean, even Indy, like, it's like Chris Pratt should be Indy in my opinion. But like I just don't think it's an issue in my opinion, because like if you go and do like a recast, for example, like with John and in his, with Daisy and Adam and Oscar, like, of course it's the whole thing. Like, Campy has talked about it, Harloff's talked about it before. Like, it'll be off for about 5 minutes and then you'll move on because it's the character. Like, as long as they're a good enough actor, it's good.
I think Disney's stance on this, and this is historical, they have fine with doing prequel versions of the characters, but as of right now, we have not seen any instance of them continuing a character after they've already been presented beforehand. I'm not wording that correctly, but they won't do after the actor played them with a new actor. It seems like they're fine with like just saying, oh, it's just 10 to 30 years before, that's why it looks different. But they have a hard time of like really putting their foot in the ground to be like, this is our new actor after this event. That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, it's goofy to me, but I mean, it's like I said, because everybody wants to see Luke wreck people when he's in his prime, but we're never gonna get that.
And that's why,
or we can do an animated version. That's just me.
That's why we never got. Yeah, that's why I believe that's why we never got Legends stuff. That's why they revamped all the canon, because Mark Hamill's too old to play Hair of the Jedi Luke.
No.
That's fine. But here's the thing, though. You got the technology. I'm not talking about even doing live action, but
not with that new guy, even.
Right, but I'm saying like those cinema. Okay, Knights of the Old Republic cinematics, those trailers. I've watched those trailers. Fire. Like, you can turn that into a movie. I've watched the Resident Evil movies, like the animated movies that are on Netflix or whatever, those like the Resident Evil Damnations, all that. Have you guys seen those before?
Yep.
Yeah, those are good. They're all like animated, like CGI animation. So good. It looks great. You could have told that like stories like that in like a mini series or something in animation. I mean, Clone Wars is fire, but you got to take some time and spend some more money to make it look like a little more realistic. I'd have been cool with that. Use their voices. Give us the voices of the actors. I'd have been totally fine with that. I can believe that animation version of Han Solo is played by Harrison Ford.
Mm-hmm. That is a way of doing it. Yeah, that is certainly a way of doing it.
It'd have been fine with me. I'd be like, oh, great. Let's tell this story as animation, but now that they're old, let's give them the live action version.
Yeah, and like, I think a lot of that stuff too, it could easily be resolved. We've said it since day one of this podcast. If they could just communicate with us as the fans and just be straight up, like have say John and Dave come out and be like, hey, like, give us an hour-long podcast video of them just sitting talking on a round table. Like, hey guys, this is why we're recasting X character, and this is the reasoning why, blah, 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 blah. Like, give all the angles to it and just communicate with the fans versus like, delay. This is happening, this is not happening, cancel project, this project is announced, 5 other projects are canceled. Like, you have all these miscommunications, and then we're just left in the dark. Like if they would just open up and talk to the fans and communicate, I think it would be such a helpful thing, especially if they would ever recast.
Yeah, so that's to be determined, but don't expect John Boyega in anything, unfortunately, with Star Wars anytime soon. But what can you expect with Star Wars soon? Well, we have a little series coming out in just a few weeks called Andor, and we got our first clip for Andor. It's between Andor and Luthian Rael, Rael. Not sure how to pronounce that. We will soon enough. But yes, Stellan Skarsgård is that character that's opposite of Diego Luna in this scene, which is just dialogue, but you can tell that there is something special about this scene because basically it looks like it's Andor's first meeting with this character, and they're doing some kind of deal of something that Diego went on a mission, got for Stellan Skarsgård's character, Luthien, and Luthien's saying, wait a minute, how'd you get this? Like, I'll give you money if you tell me how you got into the Empire's base and got this whatever it is he's giving him. I'm not sure exactly. I just thought the intensity of the conversation, the dialogue, the everything, that the delivery of the dialogue for both of the characters, I gotta say, I really like the accent that Stellan Skarsgård, this really gruff, kind of gritty voice, and just very commanding on with presence. And you have Cassian Andor saying he's spitting in Imperial's food. I'll throw it over to Milton. What'd you think about this? Did you get a chance to check it out?
Sorry to disappoint you, fellas. I didn't watch it yet. I just didn't. Like I said, my day's been crazy today, but no, I plan on watching it probably later this evening before I head to bed. But I'll say it this way. I'm excited for this show. Everything I've seen when it comes to like trailers and stuff and what I've read, I'm feeling good about this project. I mean, honest to God, it's going to be crazy to say, but this might be the best Star Wars live action series that we might get. Because I truly feel like, even though we were saying this about Obi-Wan, how we know that's a great character and they should take care of that. What I've seen thus far, it's like this feels very movie quality type of writing and display. And because Rogue One was such a big hit and it's such a connective tissue with like with A New Hope, it's like I think they're gonna do it justice. So I'm excited about this show. And I think with the delays with this, I think it did its justice to do it on purpose, just to make sure that everything was done right, just to tighten some stuff up. So I'm excited for this show.
Yeah, Ben. Now, tell me if you get this vibe, because me and you are concurrently watching House of the Dragon, airing on HBO Max. No, I'm not getting paid by them, so I don't know why I actually said it that way.
It's amazing. Just watch it.
Yeah, it's great. But I got like some Game of Thrones, some HBO prestige dialogue acting feelings from this scene. Am I crazy in thinking that? But just like a simple scene between two characters standing with little to no music, but on a actual sound, like a set. Like I was getting some Game of Thrones, some Sopranos, some Breaking Bad, just good old fashioned actor talking to actor, but their dialogue, their delivery is so interesting that you're engaged, even though there's not much else going on in the background.
Oh yeah, like I think I think the dialogue it catches you, the tone of the scene does, and I think that's what's going to be a big part of this series is like the tone of it all. Just because you have obviously it was shot differently. It wasn't shot just strictly in the volume, which is in my opinion ideal, because like at this point, not to take shots at the volume, but I mean just to keep it real, I think we need to start shooting more on scene, on location stuff again, because some of the volume stuff is getting to be a little bit too much for my liking. So I'm glad this was actually shot. It had some on location stuff. It was shot in Pinewood, I believe. So you have different locations where it was taken. And then like I said, just the tone of the series I think is the big thing that's going to be an interesting factor. And I agree with you, Milton. Like, I think this has potential to be the best Star Wars live action series under the Disney umbrella. That's for sure. Just because of the tone of it. And, it's gonna come down. I feel like it's gonna eventually, at minimum, I think it's gonna slot in as number 2 behind Mando or potentially be number one, just how things go. Because, to me, it's just like, even from what we've seen, what we've heard, I just don't understand how, like, not to sound mean toward the Andor series, but I don't understand how, like, the Andor series, like, I just need my question answered from Disney. Why does this series look and sound better than Obi-Wan or Boba Fett, two legacy characters? Like, why? That's what I just need that question answered. That's all I need answered. Just please.
Tony Gilroy.
Please.
That's
please,
your
Tony
answer.
Gilroy, please answer to me why this looks so much better than those series. That's the thing, is I just feel like the quality of the show feels so much better, and like I think that's what's going to get fans hyped. I mean, look, we had Diego Luna. He had talked about in that interview a few weeks ago about how the first 3 episodes, it's kind of like a mini movie, like setting up the series, because it's almost 2 hours in length. So like you have that setting the tone. So we're basically opening the series with a mini movie. Like, come on now, like that's awesome. Like, and it just sets the tone, sets the table for all the characters, for the plot and everything. And I think it's going to be really going in a good direction, just based on everything we've heard about it.
Yeah, here's the thing. You said, why is this working more? It's the same way that Rogue One blew us all away, and how it's Milton's #1 Star Wars movie with the Disney era in mind as well. It's because you have a guy that's not necessarily so tied to Star Wars where he has to like acknowledge every little Easter egg and every little like nuance and everything. This is a guy that's like, how am I going to make the best story? Oh, it's set in Star Wars. Okay, well, here's my... I think he has experience on like the Bourne Identity trilogy, right, and all that stuff.
Yep, the Bourne movies.
Yeah, so he's got experience with like really grounded in reality spy thrillers. So it's like, hey, I have these characters. Yeah, some of are established in Star Wars, but this is how my story is. I'm gonna fold in the Star Wars elements. There's I don't know if I want to quote this exactly, but there's an article going around, I don't know where it's from, saying that Tony Gilroy says that there's like no fan service in this show. First off, that's a stupid statement, because there's always going to be fan service in a fandom, because no matter what, you're going to have something. Why is there Death Troopers in this? That's a pure fan service thing. They didn't need Death Troopers, but they know that they're so freaking cool that they wanted to throw them in there. Oh, why is Saw Gerrera in there? Oh, he was pulled from a cartoon before. Like, let's throw him in there. Like, I don't believe that part of it, but I understand, like, maybe why that statement's getting construed a little bit is simply because this guy, again, doesn't care as much as, like, Dave Filoni or Favreau about, like, being super connected. He's just trying to tell a good story that happens to be in Star Wars, and that's why we're getting it to feel so much different, because there's not the weight of the world is also not on his shoulders. They're not dealing with a legacy character like Boba Fett or Obi-Wan, where there's all this big backstory. Cassian Andor has only been around for like 6 years as a character or whatever it's been at this point, so there is not a lot of riding on that, and I think that sense of relief gives them a little bit more credence to go around and have creativity to take some big shots and things that might have been risky with other characters. And so go on, Ben.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say like with the whole stuff with Gilroy, like he definitely said that. Like I read that interview. He like pretty much said it's interesting, like looking at his quotes, because I think there's gonna be a lot more. Like, sure, you may have some little Easter eggs, but I feel like there's a chance it's going to really feel like Rogue One, where it's kind of like more independent-ish versus like the other, like, say, projects like having Easter eggs and things like that and whatnot really in it. Because, like, in that interview he referenced, like, the different levels of canon. Like, the George Lucas level of canon. And then, see, because back in the Lucas era, I'm sure you, like, remember it too, Milton, with, like, the way the books and video games were structured. You had, like, the Lucas level of canon, which was like the movies, and then you had like the books, and then like the video games, and then like whatever else, basically. Like, you had your different basically layers of canon. And like Tony Gilroy in that interview was still referencing that structure of canon. And to me, it's like, so he's really probably going to be like almost independent with this series, because if he's still referencing like the old canon structure, he probably didn't pay much, obviously, he has his checkpoints and things to cover in this series, but he probably didn't go like too deep into any of the stuff like on this, which to me will be fine because, as you mentioned, Chris, it's like he's getting into this like just making a good Star Wars series, like versus like, every little like say checkbox, like he'll, things will get covered like roughly, but it may not be like as in depth, say if like Dave Filoni directed it, for example.
Heck yeah. What about you, Milton? What do you have to say about just Ben's thoughts about, hey, why does this feel different than the others?
I mean, y'all pretty much said it. I mean, I even got to repeat it because it's the truth.
Yeah.
Like Tony Gilroy. I mean, look, Gareth Edwards did a really good job on the film. However, we all know Tony came in and saved that movie.
Yep.
So it's Tony. It's already the expectation is there. I feel like Tony knows what he needs to do with his property. So yeah, like it's him. Like again, I'm hyped for this show. I'm gonna keep my expectations still pretty much here because you just never know. But I'm confident that the show's gonna be fire.
Heck yeah. One of our last major stories for the week is the fact that we got a cool trailer out of nowhere that I think tricked a lot of people at first because they're like, oh my gosh, is this an Obi-Wan Season 2 announcement? But we got a trailer for the documentary that Lucasfilm's been quiet about, and this is being called Obi-Wan Kenobi, A Jedi's Return, a documentary coming out on Disney Plus Day, which is September 8th, where they also have other releases such as Pinocchio movie, they have Thor Love and Thunder, and as well as its behind the scenes for Thor Love and Thunder, and a bunch of other things. Yeah, I mean, I watched this and it was nostalgic because this is what everybody's been wanting. Specifically to see Anakin and Hayden and Ewan training with lightsaber combat, like it was 2003 again or 2004, whenever they were filming that. So it's really cool to see those guys going at it and getting the documentary treatment that it deserves. And I'm very happy that they decided. It looks like they changed the name because nobody was really happy about saying Disney Plus Star Wars Gallery, The Book of Boba Fett Season 1. It's just a mouthful and it just didn't roll off the tongue very well. So I like this fact of a more creative name of A Jedi's Return, all about Ewan McGregor. So throwing it over to Milton, I know you're probably the biggest buff when it comes to documentaries. I don't know if you've seen this or even if you just want to react to. Okay, yeah. So
I saw this. Like I think because this popped up on my YouTube recommendations. Are they releasing all the episodes together?
I think it's just a single episode, probably for like an hour or two. I know the Marvel ones are a single hour, so I'm guessing this will at least be an hour.
Well, if it's just one or two, if it's all 8, whatever, I'm watching them all that day, or at least within a couple days because they're fire. Like I watch all the behind the scenes stuff because I love how they make the films, obviously. And again, just this documentary alone shows at least like they put care into this property. Seeing Hayden and Ewan practicing lightsaber fights, like where was this at in the sequel trilogy? Just keeping it real. But again, I love like going back to see how these guys came together and like their relationship, not as just as actors, but as like they got a true brotherhood. I want to see what Deborah Chow was thinking when she made this film. I love this stuff, so I'm hyped for it. I can't wait till it comes out. It was at Disney Plus Day. It was at September 8th or something.
Yep.
So I'm usually excited about the days we do get new releases, but this is on that list to watch, and also the Thor movie to watch.
Oh yeah. What about you, Ben? First reactions, thoughts on Disney Plus Day with Star Wars? What are you feeling right now?
Well, when it comes to this, so that day actually, the YouTube video got posted literally at like 8:01 a.m. And I know that because that day I had woke up at exactly 8. My alarm was set for 8. So I literally was just opening my eyes and my phone vibrated and it said a YouTube notification from Star Wars and it said Star Wars like A Jedi's Return or whatever the title was. And I instantly thought, or Obi-Wan A Jedi's Return. I was like, holy smokes. Is this the announcement video that they're going to make a second season? And I clicked into it as fast as I could. And then it was like, oh, behind the scenes. So like, I'm excited for the behind the scenes thing, but like, it was just like my first initial reaction in the first 30 seconds was mega excitement and then disappointment because it was like, oh, okay, we go from, me thinking we were in a Kenobi season 2 announcement too, behind the scenes, which behind the scenes I'm super excited for, like as you mentioned, Milton, like getting to see Hayden and Ewan and like all the stuff they went through behind the scenes, like probably, they'll probably have it documented from like the first day when they were on set and stuff, and all that stuff. And I can't wait to see all that. But yeah, my initial reaction was I thought this was going to be the season 2 announcement. But I mean, realistically, they'll wait for that, I would say, if they do that until like Star Wars Celebration or something. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for this. I'm excited for Disney Plus Day as a whole, because you have the Mandalorian trailer that's out there, or actually both Mandalorian trailers that are out there floating around. Like they have to still release those. So, I feel like we're going to get at least one of those potentially on Disney Plus Day, which would be really nice, because they really have nowhere else to market it, because once Andor is done, the next Star Wars project is Mando in February. So, I mean, I guess you have Bad Batch if that ends up coming out or not. But like in terms of like big marketing hype, it would be Andor. So I feel like it has to be, you have like, I feel like the main stuff at Disney Plus Day we're going to get, is the Kenobi stuff, the Kenobi documentary. They'll probably release some extra Andor trailer, like with one extra shot in the trailer or something. And then maybe the Mando trailer. But then again, I could see them not releasing the Mando trailer until after Andor, because they'll want to focus all their efforts on the Andor series coming up. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting Disney Plus Day for Star Wars, that's for sure.
I think they pivoted. I think Disney Plus Day is just a day for releases, and then because literally 2 days later they have D23. Why would they put out announcements when 2 days later they have a stage to announce to live people? So
actually, okay, hold on. Let me revamp my little soliloquy there. Yeah, no, actually, I would say then the Mando stuff would be on the D23 day. I didn't realize that was 2 days later. But
that's on a Saturday. This is on a Thursday.
Oh, okay. So then, yeah, the Kenobi stuff like that, that'll be that Thursday. And then I feel like the Mando stuff would be that Saturday.
Yeah, so there you go. That does it. And I think that brings us to the end of the show. There's a quick update, real quick, about the whole thing going on with Knights of the Republic remake. Just a quick update that it has been confirmed that it is a new Studio Saber Interactive that is taking over that project from Esper. Just so we got those, we assumed that was happening last week, but it's since been confirmed. If those of you are wanting to know what's going on with that as much as I am, there's your answer. And I know I said that I wouldn't want to know what's going on with that Andor thing. I'm not going to spoil it, but I just found out from some people that apparently it's an extended scene of what happens with the scene we just talked about, with like an action sequence added on that extends off of that. So now I'm like, oh crap, maybe I should see this tomorrow. But no, thank gosh it's before one of my favorite Star Wars movies. But now I have more of an impetus to go see it if there's like a cool action sequence, so I could talk about it on the show in the coming weeks, at the very least, for something to talk about in our preview for Andor, which we'll have as we get closer to the release on September 21st. But it was another great show. We got some really good conversations about the state of the world with actors with John Boyega. Went over to more documentaries, did some trivia, talked about some current states of Star Wars comics, and oh yeah, we had a smorgasbord of content. Just when we think that the well is drying up, it never seems to these days, but we don't have much longer to wait. Next week, I don't believe Milton will be here, if that's correct, right?
That's correct.
So we're going to try our best to fill in a guest that I wouldn't say could ever equal Milton, but we'll try to have somebody warming up his seat until the following week here on the channel. But with that being said, what are you going to be up to this week, Milton?
I have a fantasy draft tomorrow at 1:30, so that's my second one of 3. So that one's a pretty big one. So that's 1:30 for at least 3 to 5, 2 to 3 hours. But obviously, just hanging out with some friends, hanging out with family, fantasy football. Just getting ready for the following work week, like always. So just the adult life, dude, the simple life.
All right, all right. And Ben, what are you gonna be up to this
Yeah,
week?
I mean, I'm pretty much just gonna be hanging out, working out. I'm going to a little cookout tomorrow for an early birthday cookout, so that'll be nice. And then just playing Madden, lifting, talking with you guys about Star Wars, and that's pretty much it. You can find me talking Star Wars on Twitter at Real Ben Maynard on Twitter and Instagram, and yeah, always happy to chat.
Yeah, there we go. Last week I put up my review of The Princess and the Scoundrel. I had finished it just about a week ago before we went live, so I have my official review on the channel right now. Currently, I'm reading through a Sea of Thieves novel that ties in very much deeply with the video game that I have been loving and playing for the last 4 years or so. So be on the lookout for that. Have plenty of other Star Wars things that I'm going to be reading as soon as that's over with. We got the High Republic stuff coming back out in a couple weeks, so be on the lookout for that. Other than that, I'm going to be just, maybe painting some miniatures. I'm also going to a cookout as well this weekend, so you're going to be eating well and working hard. So that's about it for me. As I said off the top, as usual, you can listen to us as well as watch us. You can watch us every Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern. You can watch or you can listen to us on any podcast platform of your choice. New episodes go live on the podcast networks around 12 a.m. Monday for your commute to work or your workouts on that first day of the week at the gym. It's up to you. So that's going to do it for Chris, a.k.a. Starrapter, for Ben, for Milton. This was Outer Rim Transmission number 72. Thank you for watching. May the Force be with you and